representation of who I was growing up. Like, so I wanted this song to be, in general, very like the sounds had to be everything that I was influenced by ever since I was a kid. 제가 어렸을 때부터 영감 intro, I wanted him to have like a entrance type of sound, you know. That's what mito sounds like. 마이토의 약간 it was meant to represent a very, like, as if like a god was descending, but because to Ian, mito was that type of character, like an archangel, you know. That's why 타락 천사, not that it has so much of like a religious aspect to it, but it's just more of like a faithful aspect where he's represented as this god, but it's ironic that it comes from a very dark side to a very dark side to Ian, so it's kind of represented as an archangel. That's why you saw in during the music videos or parts of it, you see like wings and you see feathers popping off here and there, but they're all black. So I mean, there's a big lore behind that. There's a big story behind that. But essentially, what mito, or who mito was this super being to Ian, and pretty much this song had to sum up his, what Ian was feeling when he summoned mito. So it sounds very, like you're going to war or something. But yeah, it took me a while to put everything together. 그러니까 이거 막. The next song is after that. 마지막에 you hear thunder, and that's essentially when mito finally like descends or comes out of his realm into Earth, right? Where he first steps into the reality. 그러니까 처음으로 이제 마지막, and that's essentially he sees everything wrong, you know, like all the darkness, all the negative energy that surrounds him and surrounds the world. But instead of like shunning that away, he turns that into something very beautiful, you know. And this song was I guess, again, I said before, but in my documentary, but it was heavily inspired by the idea that a lot of times what we label monsters as monsters to be scary or wrong are usually the ones that are most misunderstood. So it depicts on that idea. That's why in the music video, when you see So Beautiful, when you first get to see mito, you know, in his true form, that's when there's something very eerie and creepy about it, but he has a type of dark beauty aura. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it had to be very elegant, you know. So anyway, that's it. Because 어쨌든 the video wise too, you saw it. It's crazy because So Beautiful was, you know, like I was still manifesting mito. First of all, in general, the inspiration behind mito is that it's like in the beginning it was very based on my bipolar. Yes, I do have bipolar. But I grew up with it essentially. So ever since I was a kid, I didn't realize I had it, but I think I guess it kind of sparked off during my puberty era. But it was essentially the very highs that I had and the very lows that I had that like I just couldn't figure out what middle ground was. To me, middle ground was as high as it got and as low as it got. So mood swings and disorder was it was like a very personal thing in the beginning. 이 앨범 그 자체 my whole life experience, and for the longest time I've wanted to meld this into a character, because I had to live alongside with these two opposite worlds that I was constantly battling, and it's tough. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard a lot, but in the beginning it was depicted from that, and I kind of wanted to get at the idea that that this character was essentially who I'm going to be living with for the rest of my life, you know. So it was hard for me to accept that for the longest time, but later on it became easier as I kind of understood why I needed the downs as much as I needed the highs. So generally speaking, it started off with that idea, and So Beautiful was very crazy because I didn't know what mito would look like. Like I've always lived alongside with this down that I have, but I just did, you know, it was hard for me to grasp what he looked like because it wasn't just me playing a character. I had to be that person that I was when I was in my downs, because I'm a complete opposite person. So I was scared, number one, that mito wouldn't come out the way I imagined, or I would be disappointed. So let me just run that back in Korean. mito came about, you know, and So Beautiful 때 왜 그렇게 좀, in the music video he's getting hit by the rain and all of a sudden he switches to this black and white being, you know. 그 씬을 찍어야 되는데, so we were going up to that shot and I was so worried, but it's crazy because right before that shot, 운명인지 모르겠는데 약간 right before the shoot, all of a sudden I dipped, like I completely went down, like my brain just, it's crazy because I have like these switches where it doesn't, there's no trigger, like nothing triggers it, it's just my brain, like the chemicals in my brain just flip it, and I just, all of a sudden I just go from 180, I just completely change. And it was crazy because it felt like it's as if like this person was really alive, you know. So right before the shoot, all of a sudden I went down, and I had to, you know, present mito for the first time. And I remember 딱 이제 카메라 앞에 서가지고, and I remember, you know, camera, and 비 하고 이제 비가 내리고, and they were like action, and I don't remember. 그 다음에 기억이 안 나요. 제가 뭘 했는지 기억이 안 나는데, I just completely lost myself in that moment, as if, like, you know, this mito like really took over or something. And it was crazy because 약간 원곡을 다 그냥 처음부터 끝까지 이제 그냥 연기를, 그러니까 아직도 너무 몰입이 돼 있어서 dipped, and that's what came out. So this is a very important thing for me because when I make art, 제가 뭐든지 뭐를 만들 때 literally get a lot of my inspirations from the dark side, you know. Not necessarily because I have like an attraction towards it, but it helps me feel, if you know what I mean. It helps me feel the things that I'm scared to feel. but I feel like most often the times we have to sometimes embrace being uncomfortable for us to really peak our limits and reach certain things that we're very good at. So anyway, that was so beautiful. And the next song, Dope Lovers, this is one of my favorite songs. It's all tied, intertwined into this whole idea that I symbolize as lovers, but essentially this also means it doesn't refer just to a girlfriend, but it could refer to yourself. So 이 노래는 약간 뭐 연인한테 Dope Lovers, you're smiling, I'm sorry. 어쨌든 이 노래 만들 때 되게 재밌었고요. Dope is associated with a drug. So 도프라는 얘기가 또 이제 영어로는 또 이제 뭐 마약인. Dope Lovers is like an addictive love, you know. 진짜 마약 같은 사랑. 근데 a love that you give to yourself, you know, that you're addicted to. So during a relationship, sometimes it sometimes could mean you're not giving love to that person, but you're giving love to yourself, which essentially sometimes escalates into like this whole fight and whole like a lot of problems arise from that. But you know, sometimes you just gotta see it in that type of light, you know. But that's what Dope Lovers is. Next is No Blueberries. Shout out to CL and Live for helping me put this track together. Awesome trio. No Blueberries은 약간 2년 전에 만든 노래인데 I felt like it just fitted this idea, this theme. And No Blueberries is essentially it depicts on the idea of when you're 뭐라 해야 돼? 약간 뭐에 꽂히면 그거만 when you're so obsessed with something that you let that enrage you. So it talks about fear and a lot of it also talks about like resentment. So I've depicted that as blueberries. You know, there's a lot of things that I could have depicted, but I've used blueberries essentially because I don't know why. I don't know why. 근데 it's it literally it talks about when it's one's obsession with something. 이게 사람들이 편식증 이러고 있는데 사실 그거보다는 약간 그거죠. 뭐 하나에 꽂히면 그거밖에 안 보이는 거예요. So what I said was to some people, something as small as a blueberry, if they're completely just locked onto this in a very negative way, something as small as a blueberry can appear to be a monster to somebody, and to somebody else, it just appears to be a blueberry. But to those that have a slight, so this, at the same time it talks about it's anxiety. So that's pretty much what that comes from. When someone has an anxiety attack, they usually get triggered by things that sometimes other people would think of as silly, but to that person it could be like everything, you know. So I want to kind of stress that out because it's a lot of the times, you know, when somebody has like an anxiety attack, it's really important that you really really treat that matter very seriously, because it's, you know, for everyone it's a different trigger, but just because it's not your trigger, it doesn't mean it's not a problem, you know. So that's what No Blueberries is. Apparently I get triggered by blueberries. I'm sure you saw the video. Nerves was I guess I wanted to keep that very raw, emotion wise, video wise. Nerves 같은 경우는 되게 생적인 저의 모습을 많이. It also talks about nerves. It's also sorry, I'm just kind of losing track. It's pretty much the video. I wanted that to kind of show where this whole thing escalated to. A lot of people think it's through a heartbreak that mito came about and everything. It's essentially one of the things that triggered his, I guess, chaotic path to becoming mito, but it's not the trigger. So through a lot of relationships, you gotta understand not just a relationship with your girlfriend, but it could also mean a relationship with your friends, your family, and most importantly yourself. That this is what the song depicts, and it's through a lot of the decisions that you make because of the neglect that you give to love, to your family, friends, or yourself, that you find yourself in a very turbulent and chaotic scenario, and that's what this song depicts. So right up to the point where Nerves, the video, it shows a lot of distant memories, but in general what that is he's showing the moments leading up to the decision to when he decided to accept mito, or really just kind of become him. Like, it was a decision where he was like, okay, I'm gonna, and it's kind of in a sense it talks about, it's very hitting on the idea that a lot of people, especially after going through a heartbreak or a turbulent fight or something with somebody they love, or it could even be talking about yourself, they decide to change. They decide to, they're like, fuck everything, and it's like they decide to go down for a brief momentarily moment until somebody shows them the light again. They decide to really just get stronger, in a sense, and it's through resentment, and it's through a lot of these things that this person becomes more and more tough. That's what tough love is, right? So Nerves 같은 경우는 사실 뮤비. The thing about this is we shot this we shot this very clutch. We shot this like 5 days. 5일 동안 이거를 계속 찍어가지고. It's like a reference to, could be the enemy or the other person me. It's like a very cross reference to this whole minor character too. Anyway, so that was. Sorry, I'm just having a bit of fun with the song. 이게 좀 거슬리죠? 이게. Alright, sorry, I'll just go back to. filter. Filter 때문에 그런 거. Maybe because the filter mutes it. I don't know. But alright, that's good. Okay, so never to mess with that filter again. 필터 때문에 없어지는 건가? What is this? Wow. Anyway, Scaredy Cat을 이제 네, 이거는 진짜 겁쟁이 to kill the cat, but this is called Scaredy Cat. It's a very light song, but it also is a different character inside of Mito. All these songs that you see, they're all a representation of a different character with a different role in a line of emotions that we all feel when we go into our downs, right? So Scaredy Cat is essentially a character, another character that is very curious of everything, but is also scared of everything. 그래서 약간 이 노래들 writing 진짜 it's a very light-hearted, but a song about being scared about everything. Obviously, it's a scaredy cat. I feel like a lot of us, if not everyone, is a scaredy cat. We're scared of something. 사람들은 뭔가에 어쨌든 항상 무서워하는 welcome to the show. And it's well 이거는 진짜 뭔가 가장 that it took actually the longest to make, and it wasn't because it was like a hard song to make, but it was a song that had that involved a lot of like how I felt in that present moment. So it's a song that was it's very personal, you know, just like every other song, but this song was a song that sums up everything, you know. When I go on stage, and now that you've listened to all the songs, now that you know my story and you've heard everything, I'll tell you how I really feel. And that was hard because I draw a lot of inspiration from how I really feel in that current moment. So every time I had to finish this song, or I had to go back to this song, was when I was in my dips, when I was like 180 degree flipped and I was going through my downs again. I could only work on Welcome to the Show when I was in my dips, which is pretty crazy because when I was in my highs, I couldn't work on Welcome to the Show. It just didn't work. The feeling wasn't right. Obviously, you know, it was a different feeling, you know. So every time I went back to my highs, I couldn't go to Welcome to the Show. So I had to wait every single time I dipped to go back to making Welcome to the Show. So that's how Welcome to the Show came out. And yeah, like I can't wait to perform this song in front of you guys. 약간 좀 나 언제 그게 될지 모르겠지만 이거 나중에 공연을 진짜 너무나 하고 싶은 노래여가지고. So yeah, this is again a song that was very personal for me. It was the hardest one to make, like I said before, because I had to be in my lows to only make this song. And that just shows you how important your dips are. I think a lot of people do go through a very yeah, everyone has a little bit of bipolar in everyone. Society made us like that. It's not our fault. But yeah, it's important to embrace it. You know, I think the whole idea behind this album was to show that everyone has a mito inside of them. You know, everyone has their own mito. It's to bring that idea of what we identify as the unknown, you know, like the sides when we're down and when we're depressed, or you know, when we're alone, when we feel like we're alone. Sometimes we resent that so much that we feel like we shouldn't be in that state. You know, we shouldn't. It's just something wrong with me, or you know, we always. We kind of identify that as a problem, you know. But I wanted to bring the idea of maybe making that into a character, because essentially, you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, this isn't me," or you know, like I can't wait to be happy or whatever. But it's honestly, it is you. You know, it's a part of you, and there's nothing wrong with feeling down. There's nothing wrong with feeling sad. Sometimes we are alone, and sometimes that's just the way it is. But it's okay, you know. And I wanted to make the character that represents everything that I've always felt that I wasn't. I wanted to represent him as a hero. So he's not the. So in the beginning, of this album or the video, I show resentment to this mito character. I show a lot of resentment because I don't like how I feel when I'm in that state. However, as time goes on and the more I resent this dark side of me, the more I realize I become more of a weaker person. Because by me resenting this dark thing inside of me, it's saying that, you know, I can't face this problem. I mean, I can't face this feeling. And the more I tell myself I can't face being alone, I can't face being sad, the more I actually am becoming weaker to that. You know, I'm not growing an immunity to it. I'm finding ways to avoid feeling that, and therefore, by doing a lot of that, you create a complete chaotic mess. You know, it's okay to feel uncomfortable. I kind of figured you always create, or you always grow the most when you're the most uncomfortable. If we lived in such a comfortable society, if we lived in such a comfortable way, I feel like it wouldn't be living, you know. It just wouldn't be living, you know. And it's kind of ironic too, because it's so much, well, you know how they say, it's easier to die. It's very hard to live, you know. And if we could somewhat change that idea, and that, I mean, to a certain extent, it's very true. Not many people live, I feel like, you know. But anyway, I'm getting off track here. Mito is meant to be the representation and the representative of everyone's little dark or sad part of who they think they're not and what they don't want to be. To kind of stand out and be like, you know, it's okay. This is actually empowering. 이걸 한국말로 어떻게 해석할지. So anyway, No Silhouette is the song that Ian finally realizes why he needs Mito. It's like a song where Mito is kind of drained. So Mito, the intro song, was when he was at his high. 진짜 제 하이일 때 나온 게 마이토예요. 그리고 이제 like it says, mood swings in this order. With every up, Mito, it goes down to No Silhouette. So 사람 감정선이에요, 이 앨범이. 그래서 앨범 제목이 Mood Swings in This Order. So that's why the album title is Mood Swings in This Order. So when it's essentially highlighting the highs. So 막 the intro song Mito 막 터지잖아요. It blows up, and then it goes all the way down. So he goes back to Ian, like his normal self, No Silhouette. And that's a song where he's getting all his powers and all his like his superhero powers taken away from him. And that's why it's No Silhouette, because silhouette obviously saying an outline of like a shadow of you, pretty much. And he's losing that shadow inside him. He's losing that other part of him. 이 노래 순서가 중요한 게 I got too close to the sun, which is I got too close to my highs, that I started burning down like too quickly. And that's essentially what it highlights. The array of moods that I go from this and that. 그래서 그 가사가 있는 거고, I got too close. 아씨 가사가 뭐더라? I lost myself in the sun. So that's what it is. That's the essentially idea of what No Silhouette is. I thought it'd be really cool to make like a video for this, but I don't know. Who knows? And obviously, yeah, it's like also the cross-reference of the Archangel. So the wings is a huge part of this music, of this album, because it's like it's the ideal symbol of flight, freedom, and releasing yourself. And what's really cool about this song is I keep crossing. So I say I lost no silhouette, I lost myself in the sun. And I say, there's another voice that comes out and says, this is the end, this is the end, this is the end. 이게 끝이다, 이게 끝이다. 이게 저의 진짜 high thing. 또 한 가지 약간 사람들이 궁금해했던 점. 이 앨범 전체에서 제 목소리가 있고 마이토 목소리가 있어요. So throughout this whole album, there's my voice and there's Mito's voice. And I'm not sure, could you guys guess which one's Mito's voice and which one's Ian's voice? So every time you hear the song, there's parts where it pitches down, right? So Beautiful에도 있고 There's에도 있고 약간 목소리가 살짝 이렇게 내려가잖아요. Like for example, right? 어디 갔냐? So burning down, like, so you could hear a faint like transpose that's down. Burning down. So that's Mito's voice. It's a very so it's Ian and Mito singing together. Mito is the lower one. So that's why at the very end 마이토 목소리가 좀 더 낮은 목소리고 이안이 살짝 높은 목소리예요. 그래서 이제 마지막에 I lost in the end. I lost 이게 계속 it was so in the what's fun about this is in the intro song it goes from Mito's voice to the last voice being Ian's voice. So if you hear the intro에 약간 I'm just trying to stay alive, keep the fire down, don't wanna be alone like that today. Sorry. Yep. So this is where you first hear Mito's voice. I'm just trying to stay alive, don't wanna be alone like yesterday. Ironies, that's when you first say, I'm just trying to stay alive, keep the fire down, don't want to be alone like yesterday. And yesterday is the only part where you hear Ian's voice. So in that order, you first hear, I guess, Mito, and then you hear Ian's voice. 근데 No Silhouette에서는 it's meant to be like a paradox. It's meant to be a flip. So Mito goes in and Ian comes out. Ian goes in, Mito comes out. So in Low Silhouette, it switches. So it goes So I lost. So I go in this end. So that's something fun. So every time you hear the song, these songs, for certain songs you hear Mito singing, and certain songs you hear Ian singing. Another good example is Dope Lovers. You're smiling, I'm sorry, she's vibing, no compass. So, this is Ian. And then Myers. Cause I just need your smile, I'm sorry, she's vibing, no compass. You're smiling, I'm sorry. Another reference. So 이건 마이토. 감사합니다. 어느 쪽이나 다 좋대요. 감사합니다. And then this is Ian. Every time you're smiling, I'm sorry, anyway, so yeah, that's the idea behind the downs and the highs. it's also a double meaning because, you know, the lows and the highs should be a representation of the voice as well. So every time you hear, so maybe in the future you might hear a song where it's just Maida singing, or in some songs you hear just Ian singing, and there are songs like that here. So if you want to make a separate post about this, you guys can, because it'll be good if people understand this meaning as well. But that's essentially also what I made for this album, what I wanted to outline, the detail. It's not just me singing, it's also Mito singing. So it's like, if every time you hear that, I want you guys to picture that. Anyway, that comes to the conclusion of this. As for the name mito or mito, you know, I like to say Mito, but it's crazy because during the process of making this album, well, I had this idea of wanting to bring this character to life for the longest time. 이름이 어디서 왔냐? 약간 이 사람들이 많이 물어보는데, 일단은 영어로부터. Long story short, you know, I've had this concept of an idea for the longest time. I just couldn't figure out the name, you know. It was crazy because I think it was like one day, you know, like, cause my team knows like what I go through, like my ups and my downs, like they've seen it all. But you know, especially Scott's seen it all. Like he's seen everything. Like he's seen the worst downs that I've ever had, craziest highs, and he's really been through it all, you know. And so as a team, but I think he, you know, in that matter, he really knows where I come from when I talk about this concept. So he actually came up with the name MITR, and it was essentially driven from the abbreviations of mood swings in this order, and this quickly became the title name for my album. It solidified it because it essentially, you know, he took some time out to think about me, who I was, what I was like, and then he kind of figured that mood swings in this order. So, and it's not only what's fun about this is MITO, the TO is this order, but if you say this order, it's also DISORDER, so it's like a mental disorder. So it was a play on words, and I thought it was very genius. And I think I heard that Mito or Mito in I'm not sure in which language it was, Spanish or something. I think it meant myth, a legend. So I figured, yo, that is literally what this has to be. And it resonated with me so much that I want to really use his name. So shout outs and thank you so much. And you gotta understand, the team really works hard for this album. Every single drop, this song is I'm sorry, not the song, this album is just, I don't know, like I'm kind of a loss for words right now, because just thinking about back to the times of every time we went and constructed this from scratch, from nothing. It was crazy. It was intense. So anyway, 한국말로 제가 설명해 드리려면 Mito and the whole team for helping me put this together. It's always a pleasant surprise. I can't believe it. It's been so long, and I can't believe I started pursuing music again. I'm so excited to see what I've made for this at the end of the day. So I'm very excited to bring more to you guys and to continue Mito's journey. 이 세계관, this universe, 이 세계관, Mito의 세계관은 continue. I'm going to continue this relationship of Mito, and who knows, one day maybe universes will clash with that of DPR Live. 물론 이제 뭐 우주로 갈 방법을 찾아야 되는데. 근데 enjoy the album. I'm not asking for anything. I'm honestly not. I don't. I'm not. You know, I'm not expecting to like get like any certain type of number or rewards or whatever from this. I just simply, all I ask for you guys is just to enjoy it, and that's all I would ever want. If you can relate to this, if you can, you know, if you can take this upon yourself to bring this, bring you like to a newer light and help you go through your downs, then I think I've done my job. I think that's all I want this album to ever really do. You know, if it can help one person, that's even and more than enough for me. You know. So yeah, 저는 이 앨범이 저는 그냥 바라는 점이 사실 그냥 이 앨범이 누군가한테 it kind of sucks because, you know, especially now because of Corona and everything, I haven't really got to see my mom properly for the last 10 years. You know, it's like she's like she raised me like as a single mom, and it was it must have been tough to see her only child go to like a distant land, and you know, just have to go through all of this, like literally have to go through all of this. And I'm sure like she probably is like worrying always a lot, but a big shout out to her, because without her this I probably really could not bring this, I guess, work of art to you guys. So this all happened because, honestly, it's because of my mom. So I hope nothing was in vain, and I do miss you, Mom, and I love you a lot. So this is, in a sense, what my mom made. Like, this is her album. You know, so this is essentially what she has created, you know. So quick shout outs to your family, guys. If you have family, just make sure you you know, you tell them that you love them when you can. I take it for granted a lot sometimes, but yeah, I hope you guys remember it's very important that you do keep in touch and you do say what you want to say when you do say it, you know? So I mean, that's everything, and that sums up everything. 아닙니다. 네, 저는 어쨌든 이 that's been supporting me close by, my friends as well. Yeah, tough times, but I miss you guys, and I definitely would. I can't wait to see you guys again. But yeah, and anyway, just trying to end it off that note. Listen to it more, enjoy the album, and be strong, be safe, and be happy. And I'll see you guys next time. You know, whenever I do. Till then, enjoy the album. 전 이만 가보겠습니다.